Good evening, I'm Bryce McLeay, and welcome to Outside the House, the unofficial Big Brother After Show. The final three, Nicole, Cody, and Enzo, worked together, competed against one another, and one-upped each other for 85 days inside the Big Brother house. But tonight, it came down to a final HOH competition, a final vote, and a final blindside to complete an otherwise predictable season. So, who took home the $500,000 grand prize? We'll find out soon enough. But first, let's eavesdrop on the Outside the House team. First up, as always, is Rachel Swindler. I could see you winding up there.
Yeah, I don't know what I was really thinking. Damn, look at that. All
Guns.
Sorry. Okay, sorry. I just had a moment.
You're not going to lose your Second Amendment.
Wow. Actually, there's nothing there.
Are you excited?
I'm so excited. I can't.
No, Rachel, come on. Put some pep in your step.
And I just can't hide it. Okay. Anyways, that was.
And say hello to Mark Herman.
It's not the same effect. Let's just move on from guns to Dunn.
Mark.
Wow.
Mark,
all right. I wrote the segue tonight.
Wait. Mark, are you sick? Are you ill?
I'm getting over a cold. I tested negative, so I officially have Novid. But
Novid.
Okay.
All right, nice.
Okay, great.
Nice.
At least we're not going to get germs through the screens. All right, before we get started, even though we're at the end of our first season, I would like to still encourage everyone watching to please subscribe to our YouTube channel. The more subscribers, the better chance we have to make a bigger and better show when we return for BB23, which is coming hopefully next summer. COVID be damned. We're also on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, so if you'd rather listen than watch, just open Spotify or Apple Podcasts and search Outside the House. Then click the subscribe button and please rate and review us. Finally, follow us on socials for all off-season content at From Outside the House on Instagram and Outside BB House on Twitter. All right, we're ending our inaugural season on a high note. That's because tonight's guest appears to be living 9 different lives. You know her as one of America's favorite house guests from BB21, but outside the house, she is a full-time conspiracy theorist, lifestyle expert, and the host of the Conspire Away Bitches podcast. Please welcome Kat Dunn.
Hey! I feel like I should be flexing my muscles because that's what everyone else is doing.
You should.
You can
but
do
they're
that.
covered. I didn't want to flex too hard, so I
And I mean,
I had the same problem.
And I don't mean to brag, but Dr. Detroit has already said, Kat and Rachel on the same show, pinch me please, because it's the truth.
Yes. Well, you guys just went live right before this, right?
Yes, we had to drive the traffic.
Oh, that was great. You guys drove it like straight. It was like Fast and the Furious right now because you've like so much Twitter traffic and I'm assuming, I don't know, I'm not watching this, but I think we have a lot of people that are watching this right now. So that's great.
Yeah, we
over
have
60.
Yeah, a lot more than we normally have. So that's great.
That's for sure. All right,
welcome everyone.
Y'all had Julie Chin come on a couple weeks ago, which was
We
crazy.
did.
True. I think only like 10,000 people
But
watched that.
That's wild. That's wild.
But we didn't go live with that one, so because to protect her, we didn't go live.
I hope that if she comes back, we can go live.
I would also like to be protected, please.
Oh, well,
All right, I'll stop the stream right now.
Kat, you literally call people on your podcast and tell them when you're after they answer the phone, you say you're recording.
I know, like, by the way, you're on the air.
Hey, just
I also go Instagram live drunk, like on a regular basis during quarantine, which is a toxic trait of mine. But
that's a toxic trait of mine too. But I don't go live.
Can you guys do that more often?
I'll tweet out something randomly.
I can't. I cannot afford to do it more often. My liver does not want it. My family does not want it.
You saw all the muscles, so you're protected here too.
Yeah, you're definitely protected. We'll protect you, Kat. Don't worry. All right, let's get started with a big congratulations to Cody for being crowned the winner of Big Brother All-Stars. Cody's road to victory began on day 1 when he won the first HOH competition and was part of the formation of the most successful alliance in Big Brother history, the Committee. Cody ties Kat's former conspirator, Jackson Mickey, for the most competition wins in the 22 seasons of the game, which is 8, including the final HOH competition. Not to mention, due to his incredible social game, Cody never once touched the block. And Cody is by far the most deserving of the win, but I want to know what you guys thought of it. Were you surprised, Kat?
The biggest surprise of the night was when Cody cut Nicole Franzel. That was unexpected, and that was like, and I'm like, and also I'm somebody who, and I've publicly said this way too much, so I can't really retract my statements, but I thought Nicole was going to win tonight before, of course, like going in. Whether I wanted that or not, I thought she was. And it was really shocking to me that Cody cut her going into the final 2, because they're good friends outside of this. Their parents are friends. And I know that there's like a difference between personal and game, but you kind of keep the person that you like. And I just felt like this whole season has been so predictable, so boring. I was expecting the most boring outcome. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
So
well, do you think that going back to what you just said, do you think that they will, like, this will be forgiven? Because it kind of seems like not just with Nicole and Cody, but we saw like in the jury, and we can get into this a little bit later, but like just right off the bat here, do you think that all these other sort of rifts in the house will be able to be patched up in the future, or like Devon and Nicole maybe, or?
So season 21, so after my season, after we got off the show, we were like kind of known as like one of the like closest seasons after Big Brother, like, because Tommy, you know, of course, y'all know Tommy. He did such a great job at like keeping us all together and like kind of like keeping like the love of the gay, you know, like it was all kind of like kumbaya, whatever. Well, fast forward a couple months, and at the end of the day, like, you're all kind of cast to be on that show for conflict purposes, for drama, for whatever. And sometimes you're not meant to get along with people. So now like nobody, like a year later, nobody from BB21 like keeps in touch barely, because sometimes we're just not. It's just like we're all like, I mean, I don't know how to say this and not sound bad, but like everyone that is cast on Big Brother, like I think that like whenever you like take your like personality test and your psych test and stuff and whatnot, I think everyone's like a little bit narcissistic, a little bit selfish, a little bit like whatever. Like no one's there to make friends. And even though it's nice to have those friends in the house, when it kind of all shaken out, you kind of start thinking like, wait, why am I going to be friends with these people that, you know, I don't know. Is that bad? Is that bitter? I hate to say that.
No, it's not. I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm a bitter person, but Kat, I can 100% relate with you on that. It's why are you laughing, Bryce?
Because Rachel. I mean, I'm not laughing. I just love it because you love. Well, I just love that you really give everybody the benefit of the doubt. You've been so amazing this season. You're like, I do not want to talk. I like all these people getting out of the house. You feel for them. You really do. And so it's just like, I know that there's a conflict though, because I kind of feel like, you know, there has to be hard feeling,
is conflict,
you know, I mean, regardless, I've never been in the house, obviously not.
You don't want to be in the house.
Right. I mean, you want
to be outside the house.
You want to be outside the house. Okay.
Okay.
I think Big Brother is great. Big Brother was great. You know, it was a life goal of mine. It's great exposure. I mean, it gives you a lot of great things, but yeah, it is difficult. I feel like to come outside the house and to, you know, everybody to get along in the long run. I don't know. It's
for sure.
You're not meant to. Like, they're not going to cast a bunch of people that are going to get along. So,
exactly. I mean, that just happens regardless. Rachel, I do want to like piggybacking off of what I asked Kat. It's like we saw sort of that Bailey kind of owning up to the thing. She's like, I've always been straight with Tyler. My relationship with them, like, do you think that they will patch this up, or is this is it just a no-go?
Yeah, and I know you've asked me a lot about this, you know, with you know, Bailey and Tyler, and I mean, I think they're gonna patch things up. Yeah. I mean, and if they don't, then it is what it is. Maybe Bailey can't move past certain stuff. Maybe, you know, Tyler can't. I don't know. It's their personal relationship to figure out between them two. So we'll just have to see how it goes with them. Sometimes things that happen in the house and history, it's hard to get past. Absolutely. Unfortunately.
Well, so leave it to Big Brother to bring the final and only blind side of the season on finale night. Yeah. Nicole was clipped by Cody, becoming the 9th member of the jury. So Rachel, I want to know what you thought about that. Were you excited?
I was, I was excited because it was finally something that was unexpected. Like you said, I mean, expect the unexpected. We've been expecting the expected all season long. So finally we get this moment where he cuts Nicole, and it was, you know, I mean, I felt for her, you know, because getting cut by a friend is always the worst, and being blindsided. But
do you have, you know what that's like? Rachel? Like,
I don't know what I do. I know what it's like. So yeah, it's very difficult. So I felt for her in that regard. She was very close to almost being a 2-time winner. I think had it been between Nicole and Cody, and Nicole had won that final HOH, we could have possibly seen a Nicole win.
For sure.
It was really close. And then also, Davon also said to Julie, when Julie was asked, I think she asked her, like, who are you expecting to see walk out? And Davon even said, well, if they're smart, we're going to see Nicole. So that kind of showed us that maybe the jury was swaying towards, if Nicole was in the final 2, she would have gotten the vote. So I don't know.
Well, I told, because Kat, I was thinking, I mean, as these guys know, I mean, I'm basically the president of the Franzel fan club. I mean, listen, I'm not as impressed with her gameplay this season. I'm not going to regurgitate all this again for the listeners, but basically I think that Cody made the right decision by far. And Kat, you were saying the same thing on your podcast. You were like, if she gets to the final 2, she is a former winner. She was never really on anyone's radar. She could make a case, and that's a huge thing. So I think Cody saw right through that. Now, what I would want to know, I mean, which we'll never know, but it would be interesting to know if Nicole was ever, had she won it, she almost won the final HOH. She was very close to winning. It wasn't like it was just a steamroll. I would want to know if she would have done the same thing that Cody did.
I think she said that she was going to, but you never know. Like, at the end of the day, like, are we really going to get a truthful answer?
She'll never say. Now she'll say, I would never cut him. I would never. I mean, because why would she ever admit that? It's
exactly.
Like, I did tell Mark. I did text Mark, and I said, if she does not vote for Cody after what he said to her and after his explanation, I was gonna resign as the president.
Really? That's the
he did.
That's the drama I wanted. I wanted it to be like completely unanimous, but only Nicole. Because that would be a level of petty.
I can't focus because people think I'm naked, and so I can't. I am not naked. This is an orange. It's an orange shirt, guys. Okay, it's a freaking shirt.
But is there a way to like add tips though? Like
yeah.
I mean,
and there are multiple people.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Post your video. I'll get naked if y'all.
Oh my god! Everyone, I mean, they're gonna start taking off their clothes if you don't hurry up. Just like somebody. Can we monetize yet, Mark? Is that?
Yeah.
We're getting close.
OnlyFans dropping soon. Anyways.
Like wish you were. Wish you were though.
But what do you guys think about that? What do you think of Cody's explanation to Nicole about how? Do you think? I mean, you gotta respect him for that for sure.
So Cody did a great job. For something that I noticed, that I feel like he was intentionally calling out people that maybe he wasn't sure necessarily if he had their vote, or maybe he thought that maybe they were like a little bit of a swing vote, and he was like calling them out as a way to like give them credit for their game. Like he called out in one of his answers, he called out Ian about how like he had to get rid of Ian because he knew that Ian was a threat. Like he was stroking their ego about their gameplay as he was like kind of like making his own case. And I did that for Ian, and I think he might have also done it for Davon. I can't remember, but like same thing with Nicole. Like he was doing such a great job of, while he was like making all of his points, he was also stroking their egos and being like, oh, but you were such a good player, I had to get rid of you. Which, did he really think that? I don't know, but I'm sure it played into their I'm sure that they felt like, oh, he was threatened by me, like, okay, like he's so smart.
Oh my god.
I don't know. Which
Rachel, how did you feel?
I agree. I thought that Cody was so articulate, and everything that he was saying, he was so well spoken. He explained all of his moves and everything so impeccable, and it's like he didn't even skip a beat. He was just like boom, 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 boom. This is what I did. Boom, 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 boom. And everybody was just like, well, yeah, he's got a point. I mean, it's like there was no room for. Well, yeah, I don't know about. I mean, except for that one moment with Christmas when she went. Well, like he said something. He said something about Christmas, and Christmas.
I wish people looked like she wanted She looked like she wanted to run him down with her car.
And then when she cast her vote, she was like, I don't agree with everything that he said. And I was like, well, we know what you didn't agree with. Because which I found that to be really funny. But anyways, yeah, I thought Cody did a great job articulating himself. And yes, he's stroking their egos and saying, you're a great player. And I had to get you out because of how great you were. That's such a really, and I think that Cody actually means it. I know it might seem like strategy, but I think Cody is actually maybe he means it. I don't know. Or maybe it is strategy.
So was he really that threatened by, like, there's two winners, Ian and Nicole, and like he was really that threatened by Ian, and then he's like almost bringing Nicole, like it's like I don't know.
Yeah.
But Ian is
that is interesting. That is interesting because the logic there doesn't. I mean, if he was going to clip her, I feel like that is a little bit interesting in his logic there. Because why wouldn't he? I mean, I guess Nicole is someone that he had a final two with, so that would be the justification. But it is interesting that he thought of getting rid of Ian so quick. Like Ian was always on his radar, but I think Ian was on other people's radars too. Nicole really never was. But let's talk about the final vote: 9-0. He is only the second person to win a perfect game. The only other time Julie mentioned was which was Dan Giesling. So Mark, were you surprised at that vote?
I wasn't. I mean, the petty part of me was kind of hoping for a little bit of drama there. Dr. Detroit asked, did Cody deserve a unanimous vote though? Not one vote for Enzo, yo. And I just gotta say, it is what it is, yo. It is what it is. And
it's too early, yo. Too early.
Yeah.
And so what if it was?
Think about it.
Do you think he would have had a perfect game had it been Nicole and Cody?
No.
Who would have voted for Nicole then? Who would have voted for Nicole?
I think Ian would have for sure voted for Nicole.
Ian would have voted.
Christmas? Ian
might have.
I think, okay, let's just say Nicole won the final HOH. Yeah, she won it and she brought Cody.
Okay.
I think
Nicole had a shot of winning for sure.
I think Cody still would have won, but I think it would have been more like, I don't know who would have voted for her, but I'm just trying to think. I know Ian would.
Maybe maybe Danny, maybe.
But they also, you know what?
Danny was for sure voting for Cody.
I feel like they would have looked at her like she was an idiot for taking Cody.
They
would have been like, oh, she's an idiot, we're voting for Cody. So I mean that I straight up, so I take back what I said. I think maybe she would have got 1-2 votes, but Cody would have slayed that all the way.
Who knows?
Okay, well then at the very end of the episode, the real woman of the hour took the center stage when Devon won America's Favorite Player with over 1 million votes. So how happy are you guys?
I was really hoping Devon was going to win AFP. She wasn't necessarily like, so I have like my own personal favorites. And I wouldn't say she's like one of my personal like favorites that I like stan. Like for instance, I'm an Ian Terry stan. I love Janelle. I love Kaser.
Yes.
But I feel like as far as like what I look for in an AFP is someone that is super entertaining. They're relatable to the audience. They're also they have more of a purpose than to just play the game. She checked all the boxes of what I wanted an AFP to be. So of course, like that's Devon's who had my vote, and I also tweeted in her in support of her often. But yeah, so I was super excited to see that. And also the other thing about Devon winning AFP, so she's like the most memed contestant in Big Brother. Besides like maybe Brittany Haynes, like it's like people always use Devon memes, and it blew my mind that she's never been AFP before, for as recognizable as she is like on the internet. So I thought it was well deserved.
I wonder who was in 18. I'm trying to think of who was James, I think won AFP.
James, I think. Oh, James
but
did.
That seems odd too. Rachel, how excited were you when Devon won?
I was so excited for her. I mean, her reaction was everything. I didn't really tweet out exactly who I was voting for because
probably smart because they annihilated me.
Yeah,
I
don't want to deal with it. I
thought that everyone was doing it. I was like, oh, this is what we're doing, and then everyone was like. Oh shit! I did not realize this was a thing.
But I Tyler's from my season, so of course I support him. I mean, honestly, my votes were split between the three three people, Janelle, Davon, and Tyler. And I thought, like, I mean, you know me, I'm a people pleaser. I ain't trying to get no drama. I'm just trying to be like, hey, everybody's cool. I'm like an Enzo. So I'm just splitting my votes between three people. I'm not going to be all gung-ho about one person. So I just tried to be as fair as possible with my votes. You know, I mean, I know everybody wanted Davon to win. So I was like, I'm going to give her some of my votes because I do think as a single mother, and you know what, we've gotten to know her. This is her third season. You know, we've gotten to know her. We know her story and her journey. So, and she's been on MTV. I mean, she's been on so much reality television. We know her by now.
Yeah. So. I think definitely she brought conversation, you know, she brought in the national conversation, which was happening. And I mean, I know that that's kind of, you know, not necessarily what Big Brother's about or whatever, but I think that it was really important for them to have those conversations and for her to bring them to light. She was really the one that was pushing those conversations. And I think it really bodes well for the Big Brother community as a whole that they were able to then, you know, really rally behind her and say, okay, this is who we want as our AFP. We obviously didn't get the season of All-Stars that we wanted. I mean, don't at me, but I'm just saying. You know, I don't know that it's, it may not be exactly, but so I do want to say I thought there was no chance that Enzo was going to be in the final two, but Rachel, you originally picked Enzo to win. Actually, let's take a look at let's take a look at who and I predicted who would win Big Brother All-Stars. We're gonna roll a tape so you can see, Kat.
Here we go.
Earlier on the Secret Alliance podcast, I did say Enzo and Bailey, but I don't think that they'll make it to the final two together. I just think that one of them is going to make it into that final two chair. But I think it could be maybe a Tyler Enzo. I'm not sure. Or maybe even an Enzo Nicole Franzel. I think that the alliances are going to get broken up. You know what I'm saying? Like the Enzo and the Cody and the Nicole and the Danny. So I think it's going to be somebody in that 4 core alliance that's going to be sitting in the final two. But I'm going to pick Enzo for now.
You know, I think Ian's got a pretty good shot at it, you know, and I think if there's going to be a first back-to-back or a 2-time winner, I think he definitely deserves it.
There's also something to be said about the person who wins the first competition. I don't know why that is the case, but for some reason they always go far.
Yeah.
As you mentioned, Tyler won his first competition in your season, got second. Last year, Mickey won the first competition and won the game.
Yep.
And in 18, Franzel won and won the game. So
that's true.
There's something with that, and I don't know why. So I also think with that logic, I think Cody is going to go far too.
And Bryce wins.
We were so much tanner then.
Was Rachel naked then too?
I look really good in that video. What happened to me?
Were you naked in that video, Rachel?
No, it was a downed ankle, so I look really good. We're going to have to prop it up again.
Well, Rachel, someone in the comments said that you look even sexier now. So.
Oh, thank God. Thank you. All right, cool.
I feel like I look worse after Big Brother season. It aged me so much.
It does age you, though.
Same.
It's like after the president after 4 years of being the president, you being like
I'm Obama. Like, you know, where it's like he started in rain and he was like so fresh faced and like supple, and then fast forward after his presidency. After his presidency, he's just like he's still good, but he like looked worn. That's me.
Well, Kat, who did you predict to win? Like, who did you think was going to win?
Not to brag, but I did predict that Cody was going to win.
Okay.
I know, but it's not necessarily that I'm the mastermind that you all think I am, even though I am learning more. But so when I was preparing for this season, you know, I had planned to do my whole podcast and everything. You know, me and Derek Lavassa are pretty good friends. And I was calling him a lot, asking him for advice on what, you know, I'm not a super fan of this show. I was like, but what do you think of this person's game? I hear that they're rumored to be on, or this person's game, I hear that they're rumored to be on. So he was kind of like telling me like, okay, well, this is what you have to know about this person. This is what you have to know about this person. So of course he was in my ear telling me all this good stuff about Cody. So I was like, oh, well, Cody's a slam dunk winner. So I was a little, I guess I was like, you know, like when you're like fed information that like is like clearly biased to a certain winner.
Yeah,
that was me.
You're a little naive to him.
Yeah.
No, I think.
I mean, Well, because Cody won, but I'm just saying that like all because it was. I remember I was about to launch. I think it was like my second or third podcast episode, and it was called BB22 is conspiring against us, and it was all because they hadn't released the cast list yet. So basically, I went through all the rumored cast members, and I was kind of giving like a breakdown of their gameplay, but I didn't want to sound like an idiot. So I asked Derek, I asked McLeay, I asked, I think maybe James Ryan, like a couple like people that know more about the game than I do, what they thought. So I kind of got a little bit of their bias on my predictions, which ended up paying off because then Cody won. So, but it wasn't my brain behind that at all. I was just kind of like, okay, whatever.
I do think that we did get because in that video, I was like, I don't know why that is the case with the first time HOH winner, but we did hear kind of from Kaser, which made sense, and he gave us some logic, which was basically that when you win that first HOH, you basically have everybody at your feet. So there's really, you have all the power, and because it's a blank slate. So you're kind of setting the tone for the rest of the season, maybe unbeknownst, or maybe not even maybe unwillingly. But I did find that really interesting because I've always thought that. I've always thought, why are these the people that win the first HOH? And then that's always a question that like Entertainment Tonight asks all the house guests before they go in. Do you want to win the first competition? Do you want to do this? Do you want to be on their radar? Whatever. So it was really interesting to hear that logic, and it made absolute total sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't even think of that being a strategy. As being a longtime Big Brother super fan, I was always the one that was like, I am throwing it. I will not get in that position. Oh yeah, I mean, in my interview, I was like, throwing it first, all the first couple of competitions I will be throwing. I mean, that was just the strategy that I had seen in so many years past work. So I didn't even put two and two together that happened with Nicole Franzel, where she won the first HOH. And like, there were so many instances where the first HOH was getting so far. And so when my season happened and I saw Tyler win the first HOH and see the position that it put him in and how well connected he was throughout the house, and then after the season was over, I went, wow, if I ever played this game again, I would probably try and win that first HOH.
Oh, for sure.
It's incredible. I think that's such an interesting take that you noticed that about Tyler as well, because he obviously he didn't win, but he got very far.
But yeah, I mean, you got to be very, very smart, I feel like, to win that first HOH. You got to be very good with your lies, with your deals, with everything, because you're going to have everybody coming to you, and you really got to cover your bases, but do it in a way that's really strategic and smart. And that's really hard, I feel like. So
for sure.
So kudos to people that win the first HOH. I feel like that's the hardest position to be in. And if you can outlast that and make it all the way to the end, Jesus Christ.
Right. So, well, because if you look at even going back to like 16, I'm pretty sure that Devin won. Maybe he didn't win the first HOH.
No, he won. Was he the second HOH?
Maybe.
Maybe. Which one did his daughter win?
The second HOH is a curse.
It's the worst.
Yeah.
No matter what you do, if anyone watching, if y'all go into the Big Brother house anytime, whether it's next season, season after, whenever, do not win the second HOH. Just don't do it. No. Like, you won't be the one that breaks the curse. It always ends bad. Like, Memphis was the second HOH this season. Jack was the HOH my season. Caitlin was the HOH in Rachel's season. Like, it always.
That is weird.
I love Caitlin, but she didn't go out pre-jury. I think it's just because like the first HOH, like everyone's kind of scrambling to get that person's like alliance, and the alliances are like fresh and new. So they don't want to like it's like too soon to like make waves, and it just like all blows up in that person's face, and it's
way too soon to create waves. Yeah.
And then you're sort of in the second one, you're sort of forced to make a decision. Now you're drawing a line in the sand.
Exactly.
As opposed to everyone sort of like everyone's just like running with like chickens with their heads cut off.
Like I remember my season, if I kept saying if I had won my second HOH, I was putting up Swaggy and Fessy, and I mean I was like gun-ho about that for like 2 weeks in the house. I was like, I'm putting up Swaggy and Fessy, and I don't care. And I was so angry, but I wasn't even thinking logically that maybe that wasn't the best. I mean, who knows looking back on it, but I was feeling very emotional during that second week, I remember. And I wanted to win HOH so bad and do like a big move like that or something. You know, I think the power, or like the game kind of gets to you at that point, when in the first HOH, maybe not as much, you know?
Right. Definitely. It is interesting. People are saying in these comments, I didn't realize, that first of all, Cody is the first winner. I think we already said this one. Cody broke the Ojo curve.
Yes.
Which is another interesting thing. And then also BB history was made that 3 people from the same season have won the game, which is 16, which is ridiculous. But I mean,
it really
I don't
shows
know.
how much influence BB16 had.
I worked on BB16, so I think it's all
show.
all my doing, actually.
It is you, Bryce.
That's totally.
It's all me. It's you and Frankie Grande's social media mogulness that irrevocably changed the game.
What a season that was.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, but this is what comes down from that too. I think that a Big Brother does not need to be defined by that season. Yes, it was a great season, but I think that we've really been defining ourselves on that season. Like, we've now seen this mob mentality come through that we've talked about. You guys, Rachel, Mark, and I have talked about all season, that it's like, now we're seeing these big alliances. We want this individual gameplay now, and I'm hoping that, in the next cycles of this show, that does end up happening. But I digress. Anyway, I want to ask about the jury, because Kat, I know that you were in jury, and I want to know, do you think that the jury made, in the round table before they got to the stage or anything, do you think that they had their mind made up? If Cody was did you have your mind made up? Did you guys know who you were going to vote for?
Yeah, I was never going to vote for Mickey. But, call me bitter, but that's just how it was. And I didn't know enough about Nicole's gameplay at the time that I could have given her my vote, unless she just totally, that's kind of what we were all on the same page as. We were pretty much everyone the entire summer, every week that went by, people were always like, oh, Mickey's going to win. He's going to win. Even though I hated that. People were pretty much dead set on Mickey winning. And of course, also you have to realize that in jury for BB21, it was all completely made up of the Grateful Alliance.
Yeah.
Except for in the jury house, me and Jessica were the only ones that were outside of Grateful that were in the house. So whenever you have all of Grateful in the house, Influent, and then me and Jessica that aren't in the house. So of course, the jury discussions are going to be a little bit heavily weighted on more of going towards Holly and Mickey, and also, and Tommy was in the house and things like that. So I was really, really dead set on campaigning for Cliff. But I remember being in tears in the house because I would be campaigning for Cliff so hard, and it would fall on dead ears, and they would be like, "You're so dumb! Mickey's the one that should win!" Blah blah blah. And it's so it was a little frustrating. So my jury in season 21, it was always going to go towards someone in Grateful, pretty much. There was the discussion that perhaps if Nicole just blew us away in our final questioning, which I just didn't really see happening because it's only so much time, that maybe she would have gotten some votes. But for the most part, it was going to be always, Mickey first, Holly second, and then
What was the logic? We heard the jury say some things of their the ways how they would vote, or just the reasons that they would vote. Comp wins, not not getting on the block. What is the most important thing, do you think, to the jury? Even in your season or in this season, you guys weigh in.
It really depends. When I was in the jury, I remember both Jack and Nick both were so infatuated by the fact that Mickey had won so many competitions. And I was always kind of like, y'all, it's not if it's a competition game, then go on American Ninja Warrior or go on the challenge or something that's really heavily weighted on competitions. For me, I was a little bit more interested in the social game, which is why Holly got my vote in the end, because I kind of saw behind the scenes of how she was making a lot of the social decisions for Mickey. But that's just an example of how it really depends on the juror. And for me, because I'm more of a social game player, of course that's what I respect more than the competition wins. But then some people respect competition wins more. So I guess, this year with Cody, he was really a well-rounded player. He obviously had a great social game because he stayed off the block the whole time. And he also beat the competition record. So he won a lot of comps. So he was just a well-rounded player. So when you look at that, it's okay, he kind of covered all his bases with the jury. And he didn't really make anyone too mad, I don't think. Except for Danny, she was pissed. But
yeah, I mean, I agree. Had I been in the jury, I always said I would have voted for Casey to win, just because I was personally closer with her in the house. She played, and I always say, like, she played a very similar game to what the game that I wanted to play. We were playing very similar games, very out of the level 6 alliance. Myself and Casey probably were the most, and Tyler were the most social and the most accepting and the most like running around to all different types of people and talking to them and making sure everyone felt comfortable, and not excluding ourselves. So it would have been difficult for me, I feel like, in the end to choose. But I feel like, when you really look at it, Tyler lost his focus around the end, and Casey really, I don't know, beasted it out in the end. I don't know. I went on a tangent there, but I wanted.
But Rachel, it makes sense why you would gravitate toward Enzo in this season because of the way that he played the game. I mean, that's someone that is a similar. Because I agree with you. I think there's a similar. I think that I would try to play a similar game in that regard of just like being social and being, like telling people, not necessarily telling people what they want to hear, but I would do that still, and like just being able to like just exist and never, like what he said in his final plea, he was like, listen, no one was I ever a target of yours. Like I wanted everyone not to be mad at me. I wanted everybody to like me. That was his whole strategy, and it worked flawlessly. It just didn't work well enough, unfortunately. Okay, so now that we've talked about the winner, we've talked about the runner-up, we've talked about the blind side, the final blind side of the night. I want to know, out of this season's cast, who did you guys want to win? Rachel? Oh, go ahead. Either one. No, anybody can go.
Go ahead, Kat.
I'm obsessed with Ian Terry. Like, I cannot get enough of him on my screen. Like, he is so likable. He's so well-spoken. But also, he's brilliant. Like, y'all, like, I'm obsessed with him. And also, I didn't know anything about him when the season started, because there was a handful of people this season that I had never met. And I didn't really know that much about, other than, like, briefly just kind of knowing who they were. And I'm researching him, and I find out that he's in Mensa, which means he's a genius. He also can name like every evictee in the Big Brother history from like season 1 to now, which is brilliant. Like, he just is so quirky and likable, so I really liked him a lot from first episode on. With that being said, I wish that I would have seen him play a little bit more this season, so I would have been more I want more from him still. I have a Halloween costume that I dressed up as Ian Terry. I hope he doesn't think that's weird. But he's one of the most what's the right word? He's one of the most like intriguing people that I've ever seen on my TV screen. And I need more.
Kat, did you watch his initial season?
Yeah, well, I've seen clips, so I haven't gone back. So
you should go back and watch his season.
Well, yeah, so I've seen all of his highlights. I've seen his highlight reel. I saw the iconic moment when Boogie got evicted, and then his goodbye message to Boogie, and I was like, holy crap, this guy is a genius. He's an evil genius, but it's amazing. But I haven't gone back to watch all of the seasons yet. I've just watched like highlight clips because I don't watch much TV. So I've been dedicating all my time to Big Brother 22. I know. So I've been dedicating all my time to Big Brother 22, and now I'm actually going to be launching a project, if you will.
Nice. You heard it here first, folks.
Well, no, I've been teasing it.
Oh, damn it.
Come on, Bryce.
Come on.
But I'll tell y'all more about it. So it's going to be, I call it the BB Book Club. It might be called something else. I don't know. But you know how like book clubs where like you like have your group and you all read the same book and you like meet weekly to discuss it?
Yeah.
So like so I want to do something like that, but it's like for like Big Brother seasons. So like we start at Big Brother 2 and 3 and whatever, and like every week we have to watch like I think it's going to be probably like 5 hours a week you watch, so we can like condense it down to like a 5 or 6 week program, if you will. But yeah, so we can all just like watch a certain number of hours per week and then meet every same day every week to discuss what we watched.
That's super smart.
Yeah, but it's gonna be a lot of fun because I want to watch all the seasons. I'm a newfound like super fan. Like I just didn't watch it before going on the show. But so I'm gonna watch them regardless, and I don't want to watch them by myself. So I thought that maybe I would open it up to the other people in the BB community, and also there has to be a price on it, but I don't want to take the money for it. So it's all going to be a donation towards the I looked up the charity. I did a lot of research on this, It's the Brain and Behavior Research Foundation. 100% of proceeds that goes towards that foundation are donated towards scientific discoveries that study anxiety, depression, post-traumatic stress disorder, autism, ADD, ADHD, OCD, bipolar. So I don't know. So I thought it'd be pretty interesting because I have a couple personal reasons for that, as well as it's like people, I kind of noticed this season that a lot of people that were watching Big Brother, they kind of do it as like an escape from the real world, myself included, because 2020 was tough. Like, I mean, it was like, it's depressing as hell.
It's not over yet.
Exactly. So like, I kind of noticed that there was a pattern in the people that were watching the live feeds and watching Big Brother, and they were kind of using it as like almost an escape from reality, and like, and I mean that in the best way. Like, but like, it was like something they were looking forward to every night. They were watching the live feeds, or and even after I got off the show, there was a lot of people that would message me and be like, watching you on the live feeds really got me through this struggle in my life. So I thought that charity was a no-brainer.
Absolutely.
So I'm super excited about it. I still have to kind of nail down all of the details, but I'm going to Mexico for the next month. So don't bother me while I'm there. But when I get back, so I'm going to work on that while I'm there, and then when I get back, I'm going to launch that, and we'll start with season 2 and go on.
I think it's especially awesome that you have something that is that deals with mental health too, because I think a lot of people, I mean, especially being quarantined and sequestered in that house for so long, I mean, it has to mess with your psyche. Again, I know that you and Rachel have obviously lived it, and Mark and I have not, but it's very apparent in the just in the show as a whole.
And that's a great idea to have super fans in training as well. And I want to
everyone. So even if someone is a super fan, they can still join in if they want to learn, go back and watch. But
true. And I want to extend the co-chair of the Ian Terry fan club to you as well. We can serve together on the board of directors.
You have to put a dinosaur in your bio or a dinosaur in your name.
Obviously.
So I am a millennial, but I consider myself to be Gen Z because I'm very immature. But I
was never bar mitzvahed. I'm still technically a teenage boy. So
I'm in Ian Terry fan club group chats on Twitter where we just sit there and we'll send in photos or fan cams every once in a while. But we also talk about other stuff. It's really fun.
Kat, I really, really commend you on your ability to connect with your audience and everything that you do. Because when I got out of the house, I had so much anxiety. I was so upset and I had so much anxiety. I could not get my thoughts together on the my next steps, like a podcast and everything that you've been doing. So I commend you so much on everything that you're doing right now.
I appreciate that.
That's something that I wanted to do after the show, but I was so woohoo. I was just in another world. I was so upset. So I'm happy for you, and that's a really great cause that you're doing, and your podcast is I love the theme of your podcast and everything.
Thank you.
And I think this viewer comment, MK Son, really empathizes with how Rachel felt when she left the Big Brother house.
I can't hear
but I want to shout out that we have over 100 people watching the show right now.
Thank you guys for watching.
This is the most people we've ever had watching the show. So thank you guys so much for watching.
None of those bitches better steal my idea about the BB book club.
Oh my God! Now we have even more. We have 124 people watching.
Oh my God!
You have documented evidence of first use. I pretend to be a lawyer sometimes, so you're good.
Well, I want to ask you guys.
NDAs for everybody.
Before we move on to a fun little segment that I want to do, I want to know what was as in a season of predictability, what was your favorite moment or a thing that happened this season? Kat, why don't you go first? Or do you need a minute?
God, I don't even.
Okay, so this is kind of easy for me. Okay, so I'm a friend of David Alexander. We played on the same season, my season, and we got really close.
And you also cried when he did not get back into Camp Comeback.
I know. I was really sad, because I knew how bad he wanted to play the game, and he was in the house. He was my best friend, and And maybe like we talked a little bit of game, but of course he was in camp comeback. But sometimes when you're in the house, it just helps to have like that, like best friend, that friendship. That's another reason why Jessica Milagros was so close with me, because, game aside, she was like a personal friend to me. So of course I wanted to see him play the game. So it was a lot of fun seeing him come back and play this season. And even of course, like people will rag on him for not knowing the game or for, whatever you all see people rag on him for. But I think he brought a lot of entertainment. I think it was fun kind of seeing him make his way through the game as like the most inexperienced person there. So that was definitely a highlight from the season for me.
That's great.
I also, of course, and then on the same account, I did love seeing a lot of the old school Big Brother players back, because it made me kind of go back and research their previous games and find for instance, Keisha. I know I sound like a total.
At least you got her name right.
Well, yeah, but for instance, I had never seen Keisha's birthday before. I didn't know that whole the whole storyline behind that. So once she was in the Big Brother house, and that that kind of caused me to go back and research season 10 and the whole Keisha's birthday, everything. So I think just the whole mix of players this season definitely allowed my newfound love of Big Brother to grow even more.
Absolutely. Rachel, what about you? What was your favorite moment or thing
It's hard at first.
It's extremely
just
hard.
Let it flow.
I mean, I will say what was really cool for me was to see Janelle and Kaser back together, and to see that relationship, and just how great of friends and the great bonds that Big Brother can bring, and the great friendships that Big Brother can bring, and the fact that they hadn't seen each other in so long and were able to reconnect in the house. I think that was really cool. I would have loved to have seen Janelle won that HOH against Tyler, and that would have completely just give us 1 week of Janelle and Kaser in power.
Why
would have been
why couldn't
Davon
the Davon week? I mean,
I don't get it.
It was that, and then I would say one of the best moments was Nicole getting cut at the end, because that was the most unexpected moment of the season. Because everything else has been so expected, and that's what sucked about this All-Star season, was that we were expecting cutthroat gameplay and this, and I mean, we were just expecting so much more, and what we got was not what we expected, but at least we got a season.
I have to say, because that was going to be mine. I cannot get over how good of a move that was, even though it wasn't even that great if you really think about it. But I think the fact that Nicole and Cody, I think Nicole and Cody were just so close that it just is it was almost unfathomable that he would do that. There's no way. I mean, all of us thought there's no way Enzo. I thought after last week, there is not a chance in hell that Enzo is going to ever be in the final two. That was really surprising to me. And I think that was such an amazing moment. And I think he made the absolute right decision. Obviously, he did a perfect game. And I don't think he would have had that had Nicole been sitting next to him. So, Mark, I want to turn it to you, though. What was your favorite moment?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I think that, topping it would be Ian being reunited with his hammock. That's a big thing.
Yes,
I know.
Every Ian, everything. He just I don't know how to explain it. And it's not don't think that I'm thirsting after him, but I'm not. But he's the most wholesome character. I don't know. I just wanted to see him succeed at all costs.
Okay, well, Kat.
Yeah.
I had one more.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Wow. Enzo not being able to get over the fact that he heard someone laugh for the last 5 segments of the show. Every time they cut back into the house, Cody's dude, they were not laughing at you. You got to understand. And it was I don't know, yo. I heard people laughing.
That was hilarious. That reminded me of do y'all remember the Obama and Biden memes? At the end, this is my second time bringing up Obama, so I'm not trying to get political, but
are you thirsting over?
Remember at the end of Obama's presidency when the Obama Biden memes that were so weird, by the way, but they were so Like it was like Obama like trying to like talk Biden off the ledge. Like you know what I'm talking about? It was like those memes. That scene was like exactly like what those memes were. Like Cody was like, "Nah, man, like you're cool," like trying to talk him off the ledge. He's like, "No, I just don't know, yo." Like, and it was just really funny.
It's like take a beat. Rachel, what were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say I'm also an Ian Terry stan. I just do want to say
imposter.
No, I am. I
We're the chair people of the fan club down here.
I did not like the way that he played this season because he didn't play. Listen, honey child. There is a moment in the house that I will never forget from his season. So go back and watch it, Cap, where he literally is walking room to room and it's like sniffing stuff and like sitting on things because he is so in awe of the fact he's in the Big Brother house. Like he is. It is literally the cutest thing. And then I'm laughing at the fact that when Julie Chen was like, "Oh, if you want to be on Big Brother 23, put in your application," and then he was there going. He was shaking his head no, as if this is the most traumatic thing to ever happen to somebody, and it's not, guys. Okay, it's not traumatic.
We're okay.
Well, that's kind of stretching it. But,
no, I'm kidding.
You know, it's still great.
I loved my experience on Big Brother.
All right, Kat, wait. I want to play a little game with you. You've gotten close with a lot of BB alumni, and so I thought it would be fun to ask you like a rapid fire, real quick segment. That would be fun to ask you with who you would both conspire with and against in a segment I'm calling Kat's Co-Conspirators.
Oh, I love that. Okay.
Okay, so real quick, I think I know the answer to this first one, but I'm going to ask it anyway. If you were in the BB house, this is just with the with the BB 22 cast, okay?
Oh, okay.
So if you were in the BB house and everyone was single, who would you love to conspire with in a showmatch?
Oh, David. Are you kidding?
David.
Yeah, David's so hot.
I thought you were going to say Ian.
No, of course you would.
No.
Okay.
No, Ian's marriage material.
Me and Ian.
I said if everyone's single.
No, me and Ian, but me and Ian are platonic.
Okay.
David, on the other hand, we're not platonic. We're
okay. Wow.
Yeah,
wow.
Okay.
No, David's hot. Like I don't know. I can't explain. I can't explain the love that I have for Ian. It's not a sexual thing. David, on the other hand, it is a sexual thing.
Okay, I'm gonna keep going.
See, I'm the opposite.
Okay, all right. Who would be your main target?
Ooh.
Okay, so I have a theory that if I were to go into the Big Brother house this season, I would have won. For a variety of reasons, but.
All right.
As far as who my target would be, and I hate to even say this because I am saying that I am a huge Ian Terry stan. But if I were to win the first HOH, which I would have to do because I want to win the game, first rule of order is I would have put up both Ian Terry and Nicole Franzel because it would have been a no-brainer because they're both the only two former winners in the house. Like I would literally just say hey, there's two former winners, there's 2 spots on the block. I'm going to put you both up because I only want to compete against, at the most, 1 former winner. So I would like to think that. I feel like that's how I was assuming it was going to go because I felt like that was the smartest and the most obvious decision. So as far as where it would go from there, I had talked to Nicole a little bit in the past because I'd been on our podcast before. I'd followed her on Instagram. Ian, I didn't have as much of a background. So I'm not sure if I would have been as obsessed with him being in the house with him as I was watching him on my TV screen. So I don't know who would have
gone home.
Made it out alive. Yeah, but it wouldn't have been anything on that because there's other people in the house I would have been aligned with more than them.
Okay, all right. So if you had won the safety suite, who would you have saved?
Oh, so it would have been tricky. Because I pride myself in my ability to float. I'm never going to ever be a majority alliance kind of person. So I don't know who I would have chosen at that point because a lot of my strategy of why I would have won Big Brother 22 is because I'm close enough with Derek and Dan that I would have been included in the pregame alliance. So I would have been good on that side of the house. But then I also really love Janelle. I would have been Janelle's bitch. I literally would have been her bitch. So of course, like her, and then also Bailey's my girl too. So I would have been cool with that side of the house. David and Nicole. I guess realistically speaking, I probably would have chosen either David or Nicole, just because I could have used the
Nicole
whole
Nicole Anthony or Nicole Franzel.
Yeah. Oh, Nicole Anthony. Just because I could have used the excuse of, we were on the same season. I probably would have used it on David.
Good idea.
Actually. I would use it on David.
This is good.
Yeah. Y'all, trust me, I would have won. I've thought about it so much. And I guess honestly, if I was in the house, Nicole Franzel wouldn't have been there because they're not gonna have like more than like 2 girls from BB21. So I would use it on David and just been like, You
mean Nicole Anthony?
And Nicole Anthony, whatever. Nicole, they're all the same. Nicole, whatever. So I would have used it on David, and I would have said because I felt like he got the raw end of the deal during my season, so this was me extending the olive branch to him and giving him safe, safety. So yeah, so I would have survived like that. I had no blood on my hands, nothing off my back, on my way to a win.
Well, I like that. I like that. And this has been Kat's co-conspirators.
Real quick, Rachel, were you holding up a giant number 2? Are you saying that this season was shit?
No.
Okay.
Actually, I guess we could go there, but no. I happened to have this in here,
I was
like, "Ooh, this is nice and shiny. I'll put that in the camera." So
okay, all right. Before we get to our final thoughts, it was announced today by longtime host and friend of the show. I had to put that in there. Julie Chen Mendez, that Big Brother has officially been renewed for a 23rd season. Thank you for getting the joke, Rachel.
Oh God! Wait, say it again. Say it again.
I said it was announced today by longtime host and friend of the show, Julie Chen Mendez, that Big Brother has officially been renewed for a 23rd season, hopefully bowing in the summer of 2020. Julie has signed a new deal to return to the reality series next year as well. Are you guys? First of all, Rachel, are you excited by the news? And what do you hope? What is one thing that you hope changes before the show returns next summer?
What I hope changes, I hope that we have more diversity in the cast, like BB Canada is doing right now. They're, having more, people from all different kinds of backgrounds. I want to see people from all different kinds of background come on, BBUS and not just stick with the same stereotypical format of characters that they always do each year. I mean, I'm glad they did it my year because I got on, but let's look forward.
You're selling yourself short, by the way, but
let's look forward and, have more, what is the word? A more inclusive type
inclusivity.
And more inclusive.
Diversity.
Yeah. And so I want more diversity in the cast coming up, and let's just have no hot bitches. That would be great. So that me and Kat can reign supreme.
I'd like more adversity in that. No,
I want no hot bitches with nice bodies.
So next season's going to be kind of weird for me because I feel like, and actually I think Rachel, you or Elena, or maybe both, while y'all were giving me advice for my post to BB Life, maybe I'll even touch on this because I forget who it was exactly that told me, but the season that you watch after your show is especially hard because
it's very hard.
Because you see the person that's your same typecast and you're like, oh, that should be me, or I should be better. And then especially if the audience likes them more than you, then it's like you're watching your replacement.
You were mine. You were mine.
I hate that.
Every time I would watch Kat, it's like, oh, she's the funny one. Oh, dang. Okay. But I liked you. I actually really liked you. I wasn't jealous or anything like that. I actually really liked you.
I can confirm that she actually really loved you. And
I did. I was obsessed with you.
You were obsessed. And we went to the finale last year, Rachel and I did. And
the first interview I did.
Yeah. And Rachel was like, I am interviewing Kat.
Yeah. I don't even remember all this
you
stuff.
grabbed me right away.
I grabbed you. Were the first one I grabbed. I was psychotic. I was like, I am interviewing Kat Dunn.
But you were Rachel, you guys, it was cool. Kat, if you ever get to do that too, because I think it was so fun to see Rachel. Everybody lit up when they saw you, Rachel.
That was the coolest
oh my God,
thing ever.
It's Rachel.
Kat,
it's
I'm
Rachel.
sure you'll get that chance again, but
I'm
sure you'll get the chance. But to do the backyard interviews, but that was so cool.
I have backyard interviews on Monday, but it's I'll be chilling here. On my live, it's not the same. But
backyard interviews, and there is a totally that was a crazy experience for me to be there last year.
But maybe next year, if I'm not in the house.
Yeah.
Conspiracy theory. I don't think we're doing another All-Star season.
Mark, what about you?
But with that being said,
oh, sorry.
So this season, especially it being an All-Star season, I felt like it was a really easy transition for me because I wasn't watching these new house guests play the game. I was watching I was watching these like iconic players that love them or hate them. Like I felt like it kind of like allowed me to like adopt a love for the game. So I was really, I feel like it was a nice transition into what could have been maybe a little bit traumatic.
Yes, I agree. I had a hard time, I feel like, during when I was doing the
but that's what I hear from everybody. But as far as like when I want to see different, I mean, of course, like, as Rachel said, more diversity, being in 2020, it's important that we have everyone represented on our television screens. And of course, like that's what should be at the forefront of everyone's mind while casting for Big Brother 23. At the same time, I also want to I want to see a season where the alliances are equal, where it's not the one alliance that's like taking over the whole game. Like in season 20, I felt like that was a fun season because the power was kind of shifting from week to week. I don't know. I would like to see maybe more of a power shift next season with some diverse players.
All right, Mark, go ahead. What do you think? What do you hope changes?
No, I agree. I think the makeup of the cast should be representative of reality outside of the house. But also, I'd like to see some of the more classic endurance comps come back. I did like the triple eviction twist. That was kind of neat. I wish it would have been executed a little more stealthily.
I think they probably wish that too.
Yeah, I think so too. But yeah, no, I think they have a good thing going. But like you were saying earlier, Bryce, that whole voting with the house, that mob mentality, that's got to go. So
I know it's boring to watch.
There's got to be a way for them to incentivize breaking away from the pack. So they'll think of something. Grodner is very, very smart.
Yeah. No, but she is. But why didn't she rig it for Janelle and Kaser?
Oh, also, wait, hold on.
Well, after they pushed Helen, they couldn't risk it anymore.
They need to. This is what they need to do next year. Okay, they need to cast people that know nothing about Big Brother, nothing, haven't seen a season, don't know how toxic Twitter is, don't know nothing about no backlash. They literally just go in and go, oh wait, I'm gonna be on national television. That's what they need to do. And then all of a sudden we're gonna see people saying horrible stuff. I mean, this is kind of vindictive of me and kind of mean at the same time, but I really want to see people who literally know nothing about this show. Maybe throw in like one or two people who know something, but I think the more dumb, the better. The dumber, the better.
No, I agree.
And the higher ratings.
Well, and I just to say what you guys were saying, also just to agree with you, I think definitely diversity and some more inclusion. But I also think that I saw this on Twitter too. I can't take credit for this, but someone said on Twitter, I can't remember who it is, but you should try to incentivize people to use the POV because it was only used, first of all, it was only used once this season.
Yes, I saw somebody post that too.
That was really interesting to me because there's really no reason.
Erica.
Okay, thank you, Erica. Because she
BB2, I believe.
Okay, so she said that she said that there should be more incentives to use the POV, and I think that's really smart because what is the point of that if you're just always going to keep the noms the same? Anyway, I digress. But okay, now I'd like to end the show with final thoughts. So, Kat, this is a segment that we do. What are your last words on Big Brother All-Stars? Rachel, let's start with you.
Oh, okay. My last words for Big Brother All-Stars is at least we got a season. Not the season we all expected, but at least we had a little bit of a bang of an ending. And you know what? We had a season.
It was television.
It was television.
Kat, what about you?
I have not gotten all my thoughts together on this exactly. I was gonna make a statement, but then at the same time, I'm like, who the fuck do I think I am? I'm like a washed up alumni that no one recognizes anymore. But at the same time, this season.
Kat, you got us how many views?
Yeah, you got us the most.
You're the conspiracy queen.
No, I never said I wasn't relevant. I just meant like wash up with the fact that I've aged a lot this season. But with that being said, this season was so special to me, maybe even more so than my season that I played, because it was so much fun being able to not only cover the season on my podcast, but also like tweeting with everybody on Twitter and like being a part of the BB community on, Twitter, Reddit, everything. Like as I touched on earlier, 2020 has been so tough on everybody. And I felt like Big Brother was a nice distraction away from the stresses of the world, the like craziness of the world, the uncertainty of the world. That it really like it kind of was like there were some days as I'm sure everyone can relate to. There's some days that you aren't you're not feeling your best, you're not feeling happy, you're like what's the purpose of today, because I'm just going to sit at home like during the middle of the pandemic and do what. But like I feel like Big Brother they brought so much happiness to my life every single day, whether it was like tweets that people were tweeting me or conversations that I was having about the game, whether I was agreeing with people or disagreeing. I don't know. Like it was really fun to be a part of the conversation. So thank you for everyone for entertaining me on Twitter and everything, because it really people don't even realize it, but it brought such a light to my life and it was a lot of fun.
Oh, that's amazing.
I love that.
That's a great answer. All right, Mark, final thoughts.
Well, like they said, it's a great thing that we actually had a season, and it was nice to escape from reality with reality television. Hopefully next season is a little bit better. I mean, not saying that the season was bad, but it was it dragged a little bit, but it was great to have it. Great to see that they found a way to make it work in the crazy COVID time. And gonna miss doing this show, even though we have one more episode after this special episode tomorrow with Nicole Anthony. But
we have one. Yeah, we do have a special episode. We have a special episode. Yes,
that's what I was gonna say. I mean, Kat, you made me change my answer. I mean, I was obviously grateful for this show, but I think it's been so fun to be a part of. Being a part of the conversation and like being able to do this show with you guys and everybody, and so I think that it's been fun, and it's fun to see everybody doing their own stuff. There's a ton of like what I just should go into the ending thing, but I mean, there's a ton of different Big Brother podcasts and stuff, and I think that it's awesome that like you've come on our show. We've had other people that have been on our show, that have podcasts, and it's so cool that everyone's so supportive of everybody else. So I really have to shout out to you guys for making this happen. It's been awesome. So I appreciate that, but I also am glad again that we had a season and that it ended, the way that it did, with a little bit of fun. But anyway, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
This is officially the longest podcast we've ever had, but with the most.
I always talk. I talk so much. I can't stop. Every podcast I'm on, people are like, "This is the longest podcast." Like, it's almost 3 hours. I'm like, I'm sorry.
Well, we love it. We're so happy that you came. But that's our show. Once again, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and also subscribe and follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts by searching Outside the House in the search bar. Make sure you're following the show on Instagram @From Outside the House and on Twitter @Outside BB House for all off-season content and updates on our coverage of BB23. This may be our season finale, but as Mark said, we're not quite finished yet. Tune in tomorrow night for an exclusive interview with Big Brother All-Star Nicole Anthony as we recap the entire season with someone who is inside the house. Once again, thank you, Kat, so much for being here.
Thank you, Kat.
Thanks for having me.
You can follow her @Kat Dunn on Instagram and @It's Catherine Dunn on Twitter. And just because BB22 is over does not mean her podcast is going anywhere. So please check it out, subscribe, and follow the Conspire Away Bitches podcast on all streaming platforms. Is there anything else aside from your BB book club that you would like to promote too?
I don't think so. Listen to my podcast.
You're at a loss for words.
I'm at a loss for words. No, it's just you. I think you got it all covered. I'm trying to think. I have merch. You can buy that if you want.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, I'm not kidding, but I am. But no, just like, I don't know. Yeah, you cover all the bases. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. Well, thank you for coming. And finally, on behalf of the Outside the House team, I just want to take a minute, like I said before, once again, to thank everybody who's watched, commented, followed along with us this season. We know there are a lot of different Big Brother after shows out there, and we are so fortunate that you gave ours a chance. You really are the reason that we do this, and you make it all worthwhile. So thank you so much. And please follow along with us even through our off season, and be sure to tune in tomorrow for our exclusive season wrap-up interview with Nicole Anthony. Rachel, do you have anything you would like to add?
No, just subscribe because we will be back next year. I know we're just Big Brother related, but we will be back next year. So subscribe so that you can get notified when we go live next year.
And Mark, anything?
Well, to echo on what Bryce said, we know you have a lot of choices when it comes to Big Brother podcasts. We'd like to thank you for flying with Outside the House Airlines.
And you can all exit to the right and get the fuck out. Okay.
Here's your bag of peanuts. Get out of here.
All right. From outside the Big Brother house, this has been Outside the House. We will see you next summer. Good night.
Good night, everyone.